of Demon Slayer, the elite demonic guard of Muzan Kibutsuji are known as the 12 Demon Moons or 12 Kizuki. They're considered to be some of the most dangerous demons, and members of the Demon Slayer Corps are always told to be extremely cautious when fighting them. The Mugen Train and Entertainment District arcs have shown us just how dangerous the upper 6 Demon Moons can truly be. And with Demon Slayer's 3rd season coming soon, we'll be explaining every single member of the Demon Moons. So far, the strongest of the Demon Moons in the anime is Akaza, but there are several more that we'll be talking about. So yes, that does include several not introduced in the anime just yet. Technically, the first Demon Moon we meet in the series is Kyogai, introduced in the Suzumi Manor arc. He was a former member of the Demon Moons, lower rank 6, but Muzan kicked him out for becoming too weak. Honestly, it's kind of easy to see why. While he is pretty terrifying, his powers are incredibly situational and probably wouldn't be that useful outside of his mansion. Basically, Kyogai has a bunch of drums attached to his body. Whenever he beats one of the drums, the layout of the mansion changes around him. It's great for confusing your enemies, but it's also incredibly limited since it means Kyogai can't literally leave his mansion. Plus, we also see that other people can use Kyogai's powers if one of the drums falls off of him. The first actual Demon Moon that we see Tanjiro face is Rui, lower rank 5. He's actually part of the group of demons, all of which have powers that resemble those of a spider. Together, they form something of a family, with Rui playing the role of one of the sons. When Inosuke and Tanjiro fight the father of the spider family, they think that he's the Demon Moon thanks to his terrifying appearance. But he's just one of Rui's servants. Rui's main power involves creating thin, razor-sharp threads that he uses in combat to cut people up. Both him and the family's mother are also seen using these wires to manipulate people like marionettes. Overall, Rui's razor-thin spiderwebs are an incredibly versatile weapon that he's smart enough to use effectively. It's no wonder that he was nearly able to kill Tanjiro during their fight. Now, the next several Demon Moons we fight don't actually last that long. During the final episode of Season 1, we see Muzan call a meeting among the lower ranks of the Demon Moon shortly after Rui's death. Muzan decides that culling is in order and kills off 4 of the remaining 5 before we've really been able to see what their powers were. The only one who survives is his most loyal servant Enmu, who begs for Muzan to kill him. Impressed by his loyalty, Muzan instead feeds Enmu his blood in order to make him stronger. This then leads us to the Mugen Train arc, where we see the newly empowered Enmu in action. Here we see that his main powers revolve around dreams. He's able to put every passenger aboard the train into a deep slumber and then send several of his servants to kill Tanjiro and his friends in their sleep. We also find out that Enmu is much harder to kill than most demons because he's actually fused his body with the train he's on. So in order to properly kill him, Tanjiro has to basically derail the train. The next of the moons we encounter is Akaza, upper rank 3. But we're going to get to him in more detail later since he's only at the very end of the Mugen Train arc and we don't see him in action again until much later. For now, we're talking about the 2 demons that share the number of upper rank 6. The demon siblings Daki and Gyutaro. Although here it's revealed that neither of those were their real names. Daki's real name was Ume and Gyutaro is said to be a name he made up for himself. Daki's main powers come from her being able to manipulate the obi sash she wears. She's able to kidnap women by trapping them inside the obi, where she saves them to consume later in order to get stronger. It's not just good for capturing people though. We're able to see her use it in combat, almost like a whip. But Daki's big brother Gyutaro may just be even stronger than she is. Despite his sickly, emancipated appearance, Gyutaro is a force to be reckoned with. While fighting, he uses his own blood to create sickles that he uses to fight. Another advantage that Gyutaro and Daki have over other demons is the fact that cutting the head off just one won't kill them. For most demons, that would be the end, but for them, they have to be decapitated at the same time. But in the end, Daki and Gyutaro both died. Although it should be noted that these 2 are some of the most sympathetic demons in the anime. Tanjiro even personally comforts them since they remind him of himself and Nezuko. Now from here, we're going to be getting into characters that haven't appeared in the anime yet. So if you're an anime-only fan, take some caution if you don't want to be spoiled. The next Demon Moon we'll be talking about isn't actually from the main manga, but rather a side story about Rengoku. This is Hyro, formerly lower rank 2. His blood demon art allows him to manipulate shadows. He uses this in a variation of creative ways in combat, such as turning himself into a wolf-like monster. One interesting thing he uses his shadows for is storing and concealing guns. Seriously, it's ridiculous the amount of guns this guy uses. But the reason he has so many is because he can fire them all at once without physically pulling the trigger. However, since most Demon Slayer fans have probably never heard of this guy, you can probably guess how his story ends. Yep, Rengoku kills him. Moving back to the mainline manga, these next two demon moons were introduced in the Swordsmith Village arc, which means they'll be the main villains of Season 3. First up is Upper Rank 5, Gyokko. He is a fish-like demon who considers himself to be an artist of sorts. Gyokko is confined to a series of vases that he can teleport between, and each vase can also contain his various deadly art pieces, such as goldfish that shoot poison spikes and giant octopus tentacles. The other antagonist of this arc is Hantengu, Upper Rank 4, and he may just have the most interesting power yet. At first, he just looks like a feeble old man, and he's also a complete coward. In fact, he's so weak that Tanjiro doesn't even detect his presence when he sneaks into his room. But after Hantengu is beheaded, that's when things get interesting. Much like with Daki, when he loses his head, he doesn't die. Instead, every time Hantengu loses a piece of his body, it grows into a new form that resembles a younger version of Hantengu. These other forms are named Sakido, Karaku, Aizetsu, Zohakuten, and Urami. Each of these forms is based on a different emotion such as joy, anger, or sorrow. Hantengu's main body is the personification of fear and cowardice, so his strategy usually involves running away while his other bodies do the work for him. He's also able to shrink down his body to a size so small that it's nearly impossible to accurately hit him. Now, before we get into the top 3 demon moons, there are actually 2 more we'd like to talk about. In the Infinity Castle arc, we learned that Daki and Hantengu's places as rank 6 and rank 4 were later filled by 2 new demons, Kaigaku and Nakame. And believe it or not, these are both characters that have already been introduced in the anime. Kaigaku is an interesting character because he has a very personal connection to Zenitsu. He was also a student who trained under Zenitsu's master, the former Thunder Hashira, Jigoro Kuwajima. He appeared during Zenitsu's flashback in episode 17 of the anime. Of course, Kaigaku's life took a much darker path than Zenitsu's. He was a demon slayer until he was defeated in battle by another one of the demon moons and surrendered himself to their will. Now, as the upper rank 6, Kaigaku still uses thunder breathing in battle, but he can also use a type of blood demon art that lets him create some sort of black lightning. The other new demon moon is the new upper rank 4, Nakame. She first appeared in episode 26 of the anime, casually playing some music in Muzan's castle. She doesn't say anything here, but we learn much more about her later. Nakame basically has a much more effective version of Kyogai's blood demon art. She controls the Infinity Castle, an enormous building where Muzan lives, and a lot of the action in Demon Slayer's later half takes place. By strumming her instrument, Nakame can control the castle in basically whatever way she wants. Okay, now it's time to get to the top 3 members of the Demon Moons, starting with Akaza. Akaza's fighting techniques are all based around hand-to-hand combat. He uses his body to generate powerful, destructive shockwaves that can easily injure a human. Akaza's focus on martial arts is interesting since all the Demon Slayers are swordsmen. You'd think not having a weapon would put Akaza at a disadvantage, but it's quite the opposite. Once he gets up close to an opponent, his shockwaves can break bones and damage internal organs. As Rengoku learned the hard way, Akaza is a very dangerous enemy. The upper rank 2 of the Demon Moons is named Doma. He's actually made a brief appearance in the anime already. He was the one who turned Daki and Gyotaro into demons during their flashback. Doma's demon blood art gives him the incredible power of ice manipulation. He can generate ice around him from his blood and body. The ice he creates is so cold that it becomes lethal. Even breathing in the air around the frost causes people's lungs to freeze. Doma is incredibly creative with how he uses his ice powers, creating many shapes that resemble things like lotuses or women. And finally, there's the highest ranked member of the Demon Moons, Kokushibo. Before becoming a demon, he was actually a demon slayer himself. This means that Kokushibo can also use one of the breathing styles, in this case, moon breathing. It allows him to create sharp crescent-shaped blades whenever he attacks. As a demon, Kokushibo is almost immortal, and over the hundreds of years he's lived, he's perfected his moon breathing, making him an incredibly dangerous foe. Even his katana is more dangerous than the usual Nichiren blade. It's actually made of Kokushibo's own demonic flesh. So, these were all the known Demon Moons from Demon Slayer. Even though not all of them have appeared in the anime yet, it'll be very exciting to see them in future seasons. Which of the moons is your favorite?